Hello everyone. Matlab is a common tool for solving mathematical problems. We can use Matlab to do all kinds of calculations. Today, I'll do a basic introduction on Matlab. Part 1. Matlab Basic Layout. After we starting Matlab, we can see the basic layout of Matlab. It's composed of current folder, command window, and workspace. To create a new variable or function, we directly input the name of variable and its value. For example, we input a equals to 1 and assign a. We can get the output a equals to 1 and ans equals to 0.8415, and the variable will be saved in the workspace. Part 2. Matrix and array. Most programming languages can only operate on one number at a time, while Matlab is mainly used to operate on the whole matrix or array. Let's create some arrays. First, create an array of 4 elements in a single line separated by commas or space. We input a equals to this, and we get the matrix A. Secondly, we input b equals to this, and we get a multi-row matrix. Thirdly, we use function to create the matrix. Input 051 equals to 0, and we will get a column vector with 5 rows and 1 column for each element being 0. Next, we learn some operations on matrix and array. Create a matrix of 3 rows and 3 columns. Input a plus 10, and we add 10 to each element of this matrix. In the same way, we can calculate the sign of each element of the matrix. Furthermore, single quotes are used to transpose a matrix. A comma can be used to expand a matrix in row direction, and a semicolon is for column direction. Part 3. Index of an array. Each variable in Matlab is an array that can store multiple values. If you want to use a value in an array, you need an index. Let's create a matrix that will. For one thing, there are 2 ways to index an element from an array. The first is more common. The row and column of the array's name plus the element to be indexed, for example. The second is less commonly used. Array name plus a subscript which is traversed by column, for example. For another thing, we can refer to multiple elements of the array using the column operator m. Column n. We can index the first element to the third element in the second column, for example. And we can also index all elements in the third row, for example. It's not hard to find that the number of rows in the index row is before the comma. The number of columns in the index column is after the comma. Part 4. Workspace and the variable. The workspace contains variables you create or import into Matlab from a data file or other program. For example, I now create 2 variables. We can check the content of the workspace through whos, input whos, and we can get the information on the variables including name, size, bytes, class, and attributes. Part 5. Text and character. When we deal with the text, we can enclose the character sequence with single quotation marks. In this way, the text is assigned to variables. For example, my text equals to hello world. If the text itself includes single quotation marks, we use double quotation marks to define the variables. For example, text equals to you are right. Part 6. Function call. Matlab provides a large number of functions to perform calculation tasks, which are equivalent to subprograms or methods in other programming languages. For example, the function for maximizing is a common function. The input variables are enclosed in parentheses, and if there are more than one variable, the variables are separated by commas. Let's use this function. Create the matrix A to get some numbers. Use the maximizing function to get the maximum and the location of maximum. What's more, many other functions can be used to do specific calculation. The user can choose the function according to their demand. Part 7. Two-dimensional and three-dimensional graphs. On two-dimensional graphs, we draw a broken line diagram as an example. I'll input the code and explain them. X means the value which ranges between 0 to 2 multiple pi and uses pi divided 100 as a step. Step determines the degree of the concentration of the horizontal axis. As the step increases, the accuracy of the image decreases, and we get the graph. We can name the horizontal axis and the vertical axis separately and add the title to the above sinusoidal. And we get the graph with some notes. Next, three-dimensional graphs. Three-dimensional graphs usually define a surface as a function of two parameters, z equals to function xy. We use command meshgrid to create several xy in the function, and we define function z. And we get this three-dimensional graph. Part 8. Programs and scripts. If we want to do some complex calculations, it's not convenient to write some codes in command window directly when we run the codes in command window. The previous codes cannot be revised. In this situation, we can create a script to do some programming. Click the button New Script and we can create a script and write some codes to generate random data. Input the name of the script in command window and we can run it. Part 9. Help and documentation. Some commands can be used to get help. For example, function min can be used to calculate the average value. We can input doc min parentheses, or help min to get information about function min, such as the grammar or usage.